I really want to challenge you. Are there times when you can be doing something and you're doing nothing because you'd rather do nothing than do it all? Do you take the nothing as a cop-out because you're like, well, I'm only all or nothing? Hi, my name is Izi Chinchay. I'm a podcast host, entrepreneur, soccer coach, and motivational speaker. And today I'm going to be talking about why you need to ditch your all or nothing attitude or mentality or whatever it is that you call it, and basically why it's holding you back. Now, for a long time in my life, I would say that I was just an all, not even a nothing. I was just an all mentality. I was always all the way in. And going too hard on things, like being like, oh, this is everything that I am now. And I never, ever stop. And I never, ever rest. And I never, ever wait. Right. So that's the side that I'm coming from. And then looking at some friends or, people that I work with that really struggle with ever being anything other than nothing, right? They're like, I just don't do anything at all because I'm not going to do anything if I'm not all in. And I really, really think that the in-between is where the magic happens, because magic happens in longevity and consistency. And those two things happen when small actions are taken daily versus crazy big actions for a small amount of time and then over because you burnt out and you're no longer going to continue to work on it. I'll give a perfect example. So the last couple of weeks have been interesting for me because I've been recovering from a knee surgery and I was exhausted and was like, I don't want to film podcasts. I don't really want to do this. This is too much for me. But that was like the nothing mentality that I could have had, which was like, you know what, I'm not going to do it at all. And I'm finally going to take a pause and I'm finally not going to drop a podcast this week, for the next 3 weeks because I can't do it. I feel like I can't do it. That would be a nothing mentality. And I was like, well, okay, maybe doing it all and doing the film and setting up my lighting and maybe doing my hair, doing my makeup is going to be too much to get me to do all my podcasts and show up the way that I really, really want to, in the way that's like, yes, I really feel like I'm on and it's happening. So I was like, well, what is the in between? And for me, it was just to not film. I was like, all right, filming podcasts is way more because, like I said, camera lighting, I want to look somewhat presentable. And so I was like, all right, so what's the in between for me? So the in between was just to not film the podcast and just to sit on my couch and be a hermit and be like, ooh, yeah, let's talk and read my notes, which is way easier than actually filming and talking like this for me personally. And I realized that has been absolutely key in pretty much every single thing that I've done in my business and the way that I've grown is be able to adapt when I'm not feeling good or things are not going as planned, because that's literally the way that life works. Things just don't go as planned. And so when things don't go as planned and it feels like, it's not going to turn out the exact way that you want it, it's about, well, what can I do to keep the needle moving forward? What are the actions that I can take that are still going to progress me, but not burn me out and get me exhausted and ultimately make me quit? And that showed up in a couple different ways for me. The podcast, for one, just being like, all right, I'm only going to film, or I'm only going to record the sound. I'm not going to film. But also in content, sometimes I'm like, I can't make another piece of content. I'm exhausted. So it's like, well, how can I still post something that's maybe not going to drain me and take so much out of me, but still keep the needle moving forward? This is also something that I see a lot of people do in the gym. And again, my circumstances have not been what they usually are in the last couple of weeks, really month, because of my surgery. I'm exactly at a month today. And so, going to the gym and doing all these workouts are not something that are super on the table for me right now at this time or in this past month. We're getting back into it slowly. But I was like, there's still things that I can do because something is better than nothing. Something is always better than nothing. But when we have this all or nothing mentality, we're like, nope, it's all or nothing. that is like the most difficult way to live. And I have friends who live this way, or people that I know that are always in that routine. I'm like, dude, that is so hard. That is a really hard way to be, because there's no room for life. There's no room for error and circumstances that are constantly changing and evolving. It's always all or nothing. And you get a lot less done when you have all or nothing mentality. So in the gym, it's like, this past month with this surgery, I was like, well, what can I do? And some days it was just like 50 sit-ups. I'm not even joking. I was like, well, I'm doing my PT, which for me counts as a workout right now. I'm counting that as a workout. But then it would be like, okay, can I do something else? 50 sit-ups. That's literally it, right? Which is not very hard to do, but it was better than nothing. And one of the reasons that's better than nothing is when you do something, even if it's not great, but you just got it done. You took the action, it keeps the habit running. It keeps the habit in place. So in my mind, my body, I'm like, well, we're still someone who works out. That habit is still running. Yeah, it's not great workouts right now with the knee injury, but they're workouts nonetheless. So the ball is still rolling, and I still identify that way. And so I still someone who cares about my health and cares about my fitness, and I can keep that habit rolling. And if I can keep that habit rolling, then once I can actually ramp that up, it's going to be much easier to get back in a good groove of hard workouts, of consistent training, of all the things, if I've been keeping that going. But if not, it's going to be like starting all over again, which is a very difficult thing to do. Another example is actually my brother gave me this example. It was a really funny one. He's like, it's like if you're staying over at a friend's house and you didn't plan to stay at that friend's house, and you don't have a toothbrush and they don't have a toothbrush, then you can still use your finger, put a little bit of toothpaste on your finger and go like this and kind of brush your teeth. And that is better than nothing. He's like, do you agree? I'm like, yeah, totally better than nothing. You've done a little bit. You've done something. But I think it's actually an excuse. I think we like to have all or nothing mentality so that we have a way out of just doing the act. Like for me, that would have been much easier for me to be like, well, I'm exhausted. I have this knee surgery. I'm just going to drop the podcast. I am just not going to do it. No one will judge me. And no one would. I don't think anyone would judge me for that. And that would be a really easy out. Be like, I'm just going to break. I'm just not going to do this. I'm just going to give myself a break. But the something instead of the nothing is like, well, can you curl up on the couch with a blanket and your laptop and record audio? Yes, I can do that. And that's not that hard. And so it's actually a great way to keep you in the game. Keep you in the game. Keep it moving forward. It's same thing like if you're trying to work on a diet, you're trying to stay in a certain diet frame, and you're like, well, nope, I messed up on this one thing. Now I'm just going to go binge eat and eat all this stuff that's really terrible for me. Or can you kind of keep the guidelines and be like, yeah, I splurged on that, so now I'm going to try and make sure that, I eat less processed foods here, I get more protein in here, and I at least keep us on track, right? I can stay in a certain lane of at least trying to show up a little bit closer to the end goal than further away from it. And I know it can be hard and it can be frustrating, but I want to challenge you. I really want to challenge you. Are there times when you can be doing something and you're doing nothing because you'd rather do nothing than do it all, right? Or you'd rather only do all rather than do the nothing? Do you take the nothing as a cop-out because you're like, well, I'm only all or nothing. I only do the things that are the absolute best when I'm feeling my best, when I'm in my groove, when all the circumstances are perfect. Dude, that happens like, I don't know, maybe twice a year, or is everything going to be going great and you're just going to feel amazing? So I challenge you to think and be like, are there times that I'm copping out, right? And I'm just doing nothing instead of something? Like those days when you're really not feeling like a workout, what can you do? Can you do 50 sit-ups? Can you go for a walk around the block? Can you do 10 squats? Can you do something? The answer is yes. You can always do something. And doing something is always better than doing nothing. 100%. If even it just keeps the habit in place, if even it just keeps you in the mentality that's like, yep, I'm still someone who works out every day. I'm still someone who prioritizes my health. I'm still someone who wants to be healthy. I'm still someone who really takes care of me. That's worth doing something for. It's worth doing something for. Another thing that I think about this with is like cleaning, like when my house is kind of messy. I'm like, no, if I can't clean the whole kitchen, I'm just not going to clean the whole kitchen. But if I have like 2 minutes, can I do a couple of dishes and put away my tortilla chips or whatever? Can I take out the trash? That's such a lie. I don't take out the trash. I have taken the trash out maybe 2 times in my life. Mitchell takes out the trash. That's a man's job. That's what the man does. He takes out the trash. That was like, yeah, when have I taken out the trash? Can I put some stuff in the trash though, right? There's always something that we can do. And I really just, wanted to remind you that if you're in this space of only going all or nothing and only acting in all or nothing, it's too extreme and it's not sustainable. Because the ultimate goal is sustainability, right? And keeping the needle moving forward and staying in the game, whether it's fitness, relationship, business, all those things. And the way that you do that is by taking consistent action daily. And a lot of time it's just very small little things. And can you keep those small little things moving forward? Can you keep the bus moving in the right direction? And if you can, eventually you're going to hit momentum. And you'll hit momentum and momentum and momentum because it compounds. And that's how it works. I don't know why, but it's awesome. And I like that it works that way. But that's all I have for you today. I just want to challenge you to question yourself if you're doing nothing when you could be doing something that's really going to help yourself. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, I would greatly appreciate if you could share this episode with 5 people you think could benefit from the show. Also, please feel free to connect with me on Instagram at Izi Chinchay or my website at izichinchay.com. Thank you so much for being you. Keep being a leader and making this world a better place.